All right, so we're going to get into some of the assets that I find are very overlooked, and this a lot of this will apply to individuals when it comes to these strategies. And but obviously, we spend a lot of time looking at businesses, and it's incredible. A lot of the ways that we end up making money on a deal is just looking at the assets that they're not leveraging, and then leveraging them. And even as we're um, working with clients and helping them grow their business through acquisition, one of the things that has been amazing is to just see it can be frustrating for someone that's coming from our perspective, a good merger, but it's incredible the people that are hustling really really hard to close the next customer, get the next client, or try to make money in their business, and they're not leveraging all of the assets that are already available in their business. So I want to talk about some of those because tonight we've got a lot of y'all that are in the Extra Hoco program. I guess we're at about 52 people, and a lot of y'all are here on the YouTube. So I'll give you a bit of a preview of what we're going to be going through, which is the 33 assets and kind of hidden capital points that we found in businesses that I want you to take advantage of. So we're going to go through those tonight, and there are two ways to use this. What I found, and we've probably got half and half. We've got half of the people that are going through acquisition whole code that are at kind of $1 million business level. And that's really, it's kind of these two extremes, which I think whole code is great for. It's people that are already at 7 figures, and then the people that are starting from scratch. If you're in the middle, it becomes very tough because you're just like hustling, trying to make it. So if you're just starting from scratch, that's a great place to be. If you're already at 7 figure business, then that's a great place to be. So, it's kind of split between those two. And if you're already in business, a lot of what I'm going to go over with these, talk about 3 of these 33 today. A lot of the strategies that you want to leverage are in your business. If you are somebody that's just starting from scratch, then you're looking to leverage these in a business that you're going to acquire. And this is where you make the money. Like, this is literally where you make the money. And I think you'll see kind of then thinking outside the box with these first 3 of the 33, you start to get a sense of, like, just in every business, obviously when we own a business, we're working on this, but with every business you look at this for sale, they are overlooking all of these, like just all 33 of these. And each one of these in a lot of businesses is just $1 million asset. And so, I talk to these people that have, got a guy in mind that has an 8-figure business, and a little bit of this was spurred on by a conversation. We were on the call today. So he has a $10 million business, but man, he's just like not taking advantage of anything, all of the things, just doing like kind of basic business. And so one of the things to think about, like, there are whole industries that are built on helping businesses take better advantage of the assets that they just don't. And so, a lot of what Goldman Sachs was like multi-billion dollar business. It's just looking at their clients and saying, okay, like, you should be doing this with this asset in order to maximize it, or here's how we can change your capital structure in order to maximize your total valuation. It's just all of these things that are, number one, I think, a lot of fun, but that's what we can do as deal makers. Like, I was talking to a whole other guy. I'm traveling right now, and so got to catch up with a good friend of mine, AJ. Has an amazing, $1 million business. He's looking at doing an acquisition, and he's going to be a new client for Good Merger. But we're talking about the different types of deals and some of the things that he's considering as far as an acquisition. And one of the things that is very, just cool is, I'm talking about some of the possibilities, some of the deals that we're doing. I mentioned this one deal. It's like, oh man, like, I know, because at first he's like, I have no idea have no idea like what kind of business I would acquire. And I was basically talking about the acquisition he was doing. It's like, oh, well, I've got this connection in that space. I've got this experience in that space. I already know, like, as soon as I close that deal, I could bring this, and this to the table. And so there's just like like basically what I was telling him is like, in your business right now, like you're tied into operations and you don't make money in operations. Jeff Bezos did not make money operating Amazon. He made money based on the cap table, based on structuring deals, based on going to Wall Street and saying, hey, I want to sell some of my shares. All 100% of his money is made through that. Elon Musk, like he makes his money there. Tesla is not making a dime. And so you've got like one of the toughest things for me is, which is fun when we're doing kind of what Goldman does for big businesses and we're doing that for small business, is that switch where people are so focused on the bottom line. And it's like, wealth isn't even made on the bottom line. Like, that's not how you make money. That's how you stay poor. Like, the government wants you to focus on the bottom line so they can take their big chunk every single year. And it's just a trick. It's a trick. They've tricked you. Don't get tricked. So let's talk about these three assets. Say hello as you pop in. Be sure to like, because it's freaking free. And I'm giving you some of my time, which is kind of expensive. So it's a free cost to pay. Hit the like, say hello. So I want to talk about some of these more creative things that people, or not even just creative, just things that people aren't considering in their whole asset. And the reason I put entire retirement in there is, there are two things that are very important. One is this first asset that we're going to go into. And the second is the goal of this stuff is to be able to buy your time. And I think that even if you're buying your time to be able to work on projects or work on what you want to do, then, like it's still buying the freedom. Like basically, if you're having to pay bills, if you're working to pay bills, then you're a slave to the work that you have to do. You're a slave to those bills, really. It's not even to your boss. You're a slave to the bills. And so the goal of all this is just like getting to retirement. And retirement for me doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. So I'm retired, which basically means that my investments pay for my bills. That's it. But that is the real goal. And so, when I'm working with a client, that's what we're really working towards. And then it's like, okay, do whatever you want at that point. You can keep working. You can do, go and do a passion project. You can do whatever you want. But the goal is, let's get you to early retirement. And I don't even consider like regular retirement is a nightmare. You should not be at 60 years old just getting to the point where your investments are, especially if you're in first world countries. So if you're in the West, if you're in America, it's absolutely ridiculous. There's too much money everywhere to be retiring at 60. Now, again, that doesn't mean you're not working at 60. That just means that everything since your 40s has been paid for with investments and you've been working on the projects that you want to. So the point is early retirement. You should absolutely, that's the goal. The goal is 100%. Early retirement, even if you decide to keep working. All right, before we get into these, I do want to say hello and what's up to the Evolved Renegade. I love that username. Thanks for popping in. Says hello. Thank you for your time. I very much appreciate that. And we got Jamah. What is up? Says, hey, Ace, greetings. Thanks for saying hello. Says, I always look forward to your lives. I greatly appreciate that, which brings up a great point. If you're not subscribed, be sure you are subscribed. If you're on one of the other platforms, come over to YouTube and subscribe. I don't always go live on multiple platforms, but that way you get the notification. Come in, say hello. So the first and most important of these, if you are an entrepreneur, and a lot of these 33 are based on individuals. So one of the things that we do with our clients at AHC, and with Good Mergers, we look at their individual assets that are soft assets. So these are not things that are in your bank account or physical. It's just network. It's all of these other things that people overlook. But the most important one that is physical is the valuation of your business. That is the goal. When I talk about some of these other people, like the Elons or Jeff, just literally any billionaire, that they're not building wealth. Like the game of wealth is not played, or and wealth is not made. I like that. The game of wealth is not played, and wealth is not made by having income. It's not about the cash flow. It's not about the bottom line. It is about the equity and the assets and basically the valuation of a business. And so you shouldn't be working on the business in the name of, I'm going to have this amount of salary that, just it's going to have the maximum amount of taxes. There's just all these things. And you don't get the multiplication of your wealth when you're dealing in that cash flow. So it's a very disadvantaged way to try to build wealth. The big benefit that we have as deal makers or even entrepreneurs and business owners is that we're building an asset that we're going to be able to sell. And so if we're working on that and doing that, then every day the goal should be built around, what are the strategies? What am I doing in this business that's going to increase the valuation? And most people in their business, every day they're thinking about, how can I increase the cash flow of the business, as opposed to the real payday? What's going to make you wealthy? What's going to create generational wealth? All those things is the exit of your business. So when we're building a holding company, the reason that strategy is something that I push so hard is that it gives you a very clear expectation that you are not in the business of running some business that sells whatever it sells. Is that you're in the business of creating this holding company that has a certain valuation, and every deal that you do is structured to maximize that overall valuation so that you can have a massive life-changing exit. And then even the structure of that is structured in a way that it's really built so that even if you don't sell it, it's built in a way that you're moving towards early retirement, not built in a way that you're just a job that's making more and more and more money. That is not what we're on the planet Earth to do. A lot of this starts with the very simple premise that money is imaginary. It was made up by some humans, just like you, me, and you. This is one of the most difficult things to get through people's heads, because they're just born on this earth, and it's like, oh, this thing has just always been here, and this is just the system, and America has always been here, and these laws have always, all of it is imaginary. And then we're kind of put these people on the pedestal that came before us. Like, we're taught that, like, oh, well, George Washington was just this god-like man, whatever. But it's like, no, he's just like a dude. He's literally a dude. He's not even as smart as you are right now. Like, way more than all of the forefathers. You're way smarter than those dudes. Just like with the phone that you have right now. Like, there were some of those people who just had some of the most idiotic, not idiotic, it's just for the times, like what they thought was what the world was and what the solar, like, there's just like, what we know now is incredible and it's beautiful. So, but the point isn't that they're dumb. It's just that, hey, don't put those people on a pedestal. It's just, hey, this whole thing is completely imaginary. So you, as the magical being that you are, do not want to get sucked into thinking that that is the end all be all of what we are doing here. So when it comes to your valuation, that should be an active part of that's number one. Like, it actually comes before cash flow. Right. So when you're looking at all of the wealthy people, if you want to be wealthy, if you don't care about that, then I don't know why you're watching this video. But if you want to be wealthy, then you want to look at what they're doing. They don't care about cash flow. Now, in a lot, depending on where you are, when I'm building a business right now, I don't care about the cash flow. But early on, obviously, I had to care about it to a certain extent. But it still can't be number one. Number one is the valuation, because that's what's going to be your life changer. So that becomes how you're making your decisions. And then you want to engage people that understand, okay, here's what's going on in the market. When we're working with our clients, like, that starts at the very beginning. You want to work with people that every day, though, that those people are working in the marketplace of buying and selling the asset that eventually you're going to sell, which would be a business. And you're engaging those people to figure out, okay, what should I be doing in my business right now so that I can maximize this what should be for just even the smallest business, with implementing and maximizing these 33 assets, you, even with a small business, can make, even if it's not making money, can turn it into a 7-figure exit, if you're kind of doing some of these things. So if you're looking at the valuation, even outside of the eventual long-term goal of exiting and negotiating a higher sales price, there's a lot of things that you're able to do in the in between where you're going to be able to borrow against that in order to speed up your business. I talked about the Moxie deal that we did, where that was the whole play. We invested in the business at a $450,000 valuation. We, the team ended up making some changes, did some work, and basically took that to a $4 million valuation without an increase in the amount of income that was coming in. If you're interested in that, then check out this patreon.com/Ace Chapman link, because that is, just like one of those very, very cool strategies, but that's one of the things that you're doing when you're leveraging these assets. So when it comes to your valuation, it's not even, you're maximizing that today. You're able to raise capital at a higher rate. You're able to borrow at a higher rate. You're able to attract talent and use your equity to attract the talent that you want. There's a lot at play when you're maximizing this that ends up increasing your bottom line anyway, right? Because when you're making your equity really attractive, there are people that want to come in and get that equity. A big part of what Tesla is, big part of what Amazon is, because they are able to attract people in, and they're not even giving up the equity. One of the biggest secrets, if you make your equity really attractive and people start to understand, oh, I see what this person is building, and I see that, oh, this HOCO is going to be worth a serious amount of money. All of a sudden, like, you don't have to really give them the equity. You can give them options on the equity. And that's a lot of how this game is played. So I want you playing the real game of money, not being one of the pawns that other people are playing with. Here's one that I think a lot of people don't think about: business plan. Like, even when it comes to a business plan, that can be valuable. That can be money today into your business. So we've got a business right now. We were working on a deal years ago, and then it came back around with someone that had 8 locations of this business, had a system that was just immaculate, and had this business plan that at first was a business plan, when it was just a very beautiful business plan. It was like, all right, we're going to be able to take this plan and turn this into a franchise. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in between that. So a business plan, you could package that and sell that to aspiring entrepreneurs that want to get into your industry once you've proven, hey, here's what you can build. I built this business. It's now, whatever the valuation, which was the first thing that we started with. And, here's the plan that I use to be able to do that. Obviously, you can also use a business plan as collateral for some loans. There are people that will do that. You can use the business plan, if it is well done, to raise capital from angel investors and VCs and get a high valuation. But personally, me, I really like, there's just so many things. You can license out that business model, take a royalty on that business plan. And so, when you're looking at these things, there are people that are putting together business plans like, all right, well, you don't even have to wait to get the business started to make money off of that. And a lot of the thinking here is that shift, right? So it's figuring out, okay, if I'm going to put together this business plan, let me make money today. I've talked about, we had Josh, I can't remember if that's just in the Patreon or here. We had one of our, AHC members that, was like, okay, I want to raise capital. And I told him, like, all right, well, everything that we do, every action that we do, we're trying to figure out how do we make money from this action. All of the things that we do. So we ended up buying a business that had all of the investors he was trying to raise from, and they were paying him money. But the same thing is at play here. Like, I don't want to do a bunch of work on a business plan just for me to go and do the work to build a business. I want to get paid for that plan. And some of the ways you would do that, the ones that I mentioned, while I'm going about building that business. One last one, we'll get out of here. The structure of the business, I think, is one of those other things. You can Like, I've got a structure that has a offshore entity in one of my businesses. And then I've got a separate structure that's in South America that was the result of a specific deal. And these structures, there are a couple of ways that becomes valuable in and of itself. And this is why, as early as you can, very early on, you're thinking again about the valuation, you're thinking about the exit, you're thinking about maximizing this huge impact. The biggest impact that an entrepreneur can have on their financial life is building a sellable business. But I think a lot of people hear that and like, okay, well, I'm just going to build this business that makes a lot of money. It's like, no, it starts with, like I've just talked about, the business plan. It can start with the structure. How are you structuring this business? So I have structures that people want to just pay me for that structure. So now if I have a business in there, because the structure is already built and it's a bunch of work to put together that structure, we have actually a whole nother structure. So we had a business in Puerto Rico that is a little bit separate from just the regular Puerto Rican tax benefits that a lot of people already know about. But this has it at the corporate level, which is difficult to put together today and get approved and all that stuff. And so now that entity, even though we've sold everything out of that entity, I think it has one more asset left in it, that entity has value in and of itself. And so what we're doing right now is telling people, just, hey, this thing, regardless of the money, take all the money out, your structure can have value. That is the point. Like the structure itself can have value. Now, secondly, even the organizational framework of the business can have some value as well. And so you've got to have this end in mind. And this is probably the reason that I'm kind of going back to this, and really I want this to hit home with you. And looking at the comments, it looks like it's hitting home with at least a few of you, that you're starting with this stuff at the very beginning. Like this is it's crazy. Like this is the more important thing. Now, there are some other things that you can do to monetize this. So with all of these 33 assets, each one has 10 different ways that you can monetize that particular asset. So in the structure case, you go back to some of the ways you can monetize it. So obviously the maximum way is when I sell this business, and this is what's interesting, by not focusing on the valuation, and this is really the point, like when I'm talking to my friend that has a $10 million business, by not focusing on the valuation, you're actually missing out on the income opportunities that come as a result of focusing on the valuation. And when you're doing each one of these little things well, you can make more money with it. When you're doing the business plan well, you can actually make money with it. When you're doing your structure well and correctly, that becomes something that you can make money with today, and it makes you more money later. If you're young like me in the hood, we had candy called Now Laters. This is the ultimate now later. You can pay now, and you got some money coming later. So some of the ways you can make money on the structure: licensing that structure to other people once you've done the work to figure that out. So we had that with like on some of the funds. Like my very first fund was literally 53,000. I remember the exact amount, 53,000 just to get the specific structure. We're doing some micro things. There was just all these different things that were very specific. And so every time after that, it was like, okay, like we've got this starting point. So anybody else that was doing a phone, it's like, hey, we've already spent this. We've got to make some changes to it, but it's not going to be $50,000 again, right? And that was just the legal bill. There were some other things that we had to do on the tax side and some of those other structures. You can actually create that once you've done it once, just like I just said. You've done it once, you can license out what you've done, but you could also just do it again for other people. And make money that way. You could have a consulting service that you add on and you create this. Anybody who's in the actual HOCO, you'll understand the concept of the SPVs. That becomes a whole extra thing in your SPV that increases the whole valuation of your HOCO. So just all these, I want to go through all of these. Let's look at some of the comments. Say hello as we are wrapping up here. And we'll bounce out. Let's make some things happen. Let's get some deals done. Reach out to us if you're interested in working with Good Merger. That's goodmerger.com. If you're interested in learning more about these strategies, we get rave reviews for the patreon.com/Ace Chapman. Also get rave reviews for Acquisition Holdco. So check out the Patreon, and it's like, you know what? Like, I'm really ready to make some moves. I want to implement some of these things. Then reach out, talk to us about Action Hoco. That is, you can get on the waiting list for the next group. We would love to have you. All right, let's look at some of the comments. Is the equity valuation you're referring to independent of the industry? Exactly. So this is really important. So every industry has their range, right? So the range is going to change based on the industry, but no matter what, you want to be at the high end of that range. And what's happening right now with business owner, and unfortunately, a lot of Black small business owners, especially, is they're so focused on just getting a little bit of cash a day that they're a lot of times not going to sell at all, but they're definitely not going to get to the high end of that industry by making that business more attractive. So when we're doing deals, like I've talked some about some of the deals that we've sold just when we've got sellers on the Good Merch side. Like, we create a situation, and this is what I want each of you to have, where there's a bidding war. So, we had a deal in Texas, went 50% over the asking price because it was so we already maxed out. Okay, here is, it's already at the top end of the industry, Jamal. And then we went 50% above that. So we didn't want to list it at that extreme price because we wanted to put, okay, this is the max that this industry is going to sell for. Now, the whole other thing, right, is that when you're picking the industry, it starts even before we get to the other items like maximize business plan. Every daily decision should be on the valuation, figuring out the structure, maximizing the value there. All those things but even before, you should be deciding where's the highest demand and engaging people that are going to help you figure out what industry to even go into. And this is the conversation that I was having with my guy AJ last night. Is like, okay, well, let's talk about the industries where there is high demand. Here's where I'm doing this. Here's some other ones that are interesting. So that if you're doing acquisitions, that should be a part of your focus. Part of your focus is, all right, let me go into an industry where I'm going to maximize the wealth creation. And I just want y'all to really value your time, value your energy, value your just work, and just your everything should be valued. And I see people throwing it away as if it's nothing, and that's what they want to convince you to do. And so if you're going to work on something at the very beginning, you want to filter based on, I want to make sure I am maximizing this. And so part of that is me picking and doing a deal in the industry where I am maximizing my future exit. Hopefully that answers your question, sir. Julius the Third. What's up, homie? Says, yo, Ace, what's good, man? Thanks for popping in. Thanks for paying the respect up, saying hello. I greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't hit like, I mean, really, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life out here? Lamarius, what's up, homie? Lamarius Thomas says, gold. I certainly appreciate it. And it's only gold if you put it to work. So let's make some things happen. Drew says, really look forward to working with you. Yeah. Okay, this is that Julius. Andrew told me he talked to you. You're already getting to work on a deal. He did mention you to me, so I'm glad to know that you are that Julius. That's awesome, man. All right, this is a great one from Julius. So he's looking at, so he said, what's your best advice for someone looking to work with Good Merger or AHC, and looking to come up with the initial investment? So I think based on what, and this is specific to you, so it's going to be different for each person, right? Like, but I think specific to you, what you're doing with Andrew is really the right way to go. And I probably would stick to the good merger side. So I like good merger as a place to start, and then eventually do an AC. And we just got a lot of clients, we got a lot of deals. Yeah, I would work on what you're doing with Andrew, and I think based on what he's saying, you're gonna make it happen, man. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you're like, well, I mean, again, based on your current business, there's just a lot of things to figure out as to whether you're going to be a better fit for a good merger or for Act Holdco. And we'll try to guide you in the right direction. We've got a great team of folks that are very experienced. If you're talking to Jay, if you're talking to Andrew, these guys are taking time to speak to you, and they're closing multi 7-figure deals. So these are not play folks. Even if you don't get to meet, where everybody's doing deals. Jamal says, please talk about Acquisition Holdco. So Acquisition Holdco, right now we've got over 50 people in this current cohort. It is closed. We're going to be opening again very soon. So reach out on that. And that is a process we take you from the beginning to end. So I'm not a believer in buying a business. Like, you're not, and don't get in this game to buy a business. The real point of this is building, like we're talking about, building a large asset that you're going to be able to eventually sell. And so what you're building is this holding company with different assets that are within it. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to even buy a business. A lot of those assets you're able to do by creating JVs, by working with other people. Like we're basically buying, we are going to acquire a business right now where we're acquiring a business, and part of the business that we're acquiring is actually from a previous AHC member. But our goal is, like, this is going to be a very quick exit because we're combining it with another business, and then doing just some very creative things. And so this Acquisition Holdco, bottom line is it's less, that is actually the perfect example. It's less about buying, like a lot of people are buying businesses to run the business. I don't even believe in operations. Like, I don't believe in operating a business. Like, I wasn't put on earth to operate a business, to get imaginary money that can be printed by the trillions with the press of a button. Why would I, if they can just do that easily, like, why would it be valuable enough for me to trade my life for it? So the goal is to play the game the way they play the game. And it's at the capital, it's at the capital level, it's at the structure level. And so we're doing deals specifically. We're not doing, and this is a big difference, basically. We're not doing deals to own a business, to run a business. We're doing deals to maximize valuation so that we're able to exit and make our money through the exit. And so with a holding company, the businesses and the deals and the assets and the equity and all those things, it's like the inventory. It's like having a shelf. That's all it is. Like, it's just a shelf of all of these different assets that you have, and you're just putting all this stuff on the shelf. And then you're putting it together in a way that makes it very attractive. And then you're going to somebody else like, hey, look at all this stuff that's in here. I can sell you the whole thing for this, I can sell you this piece for this, and you just have this inventory. So for us, the businesses are just our inventory. It's not, and you're not going to work for the inventory. Hopefully that helps. Feel free to reach out if interested in that. That is goodmerger.com. Thanks for the question, sir. All right. And Julie says, okay, will do. Makes sense. Good. I'm glad that makes sense. See you soon. That is the perfect place to end. I will see all of y'all soon. I'm rooting for your success. Come hang out with us in the Patreon. Come hang out with us in the AHC program. And I will be in Atlanta speaking at TSP. If you happen to be there, be sure to come and say hello. If you're in HC, you'll get an email. And we'll talk tonight on tonight's group call about meeting up next week. I'm really looking forward to meeting some of y'all in person. All right, have a great one. Talk to y'all soon. Let me know in the comments, was this valuable? Because if it ain't valuable, I ain't coming back and doing these. You know what I'm saying? I try to come and give y'all a little bit of insight. But if you don't want the insight, I just keep it. So let me know in the comments. Talk to y'all soon.